Hey guys, welcome back to another battle with Linksy. We're gonna have a lot of land battles, like it's land battle month. September is land battle month, it seems. Today we have Deciet versus Pikers. It's gonna be interesting. We have Egypt and Carthage versus Iceni and Aravaci. This is, of course, for the Colosseum land battle tournament 2v2. We have an interesting combination of infantry, where we have quite a lot of chosen word for Iceni, slingers in the back, and then some heroic nobles here, it seems, with some swordband support and levy freemen, and on the flank veteran riders supported by swordband and spearband, light infantry running in with the horses. It's facing against Carthage, who has Carthaginian and Scutari cavalry, which isn't the best of cavalry, but it will be enough to screen and protect the main force, which is of heavy infantry. We have Scutari, which are medium infantry in the flank, but they have really good armor piercing, and then the center is Libyan infantry, Italian swordsmen, Iberian swordsmen, and such. Various swordsmen is being used as skirmishing forces, and Cretan archers as being the main skirmishing power over there. And for Egypt on this side, we have more Numidian bowmen, and we have a line of Thorax swordsmen supported by Carian axemen and Galatian swordsmen at the back. The flanks are supported by skirmisher cavalry. Four Egyptian cavalry is quite interesting, and the Ptolemaic cav, which is dealing against Celtiberian cavalry, which is really strong considering what they're facing. That again, they are not that bad themselves, with 48 melee attack and 5 weapon damage. Canterbury cavalry are really good as well, skirmisher, and they're supported by some Iberian spearmen, which are really light-footed troops and they run quite fast, so they'll deal really easily with the cavalry in an engagement. Some Balearic slingers supporting the central line with Scutari and painted warriors in the back, and some noble fighter as the general. It's going to be quite interesting. They're moving towards each other quite slowly. Lots of cav action in the flanks, nothing really happening, just moving back and forth. The Iceni and the Aravaci moving forward, but now they're facing the skirmisher cav on this side, which are going to try, from what I understand, trim these Iberian spearmen down slightly. And Ptolemaic cav could be disastrous if it manages to get a side charge into these Scutarii, as it would wreck them to the Stone Age, especially if it gets into the Balearic slingers over there. And the Balearic slingers and the Iberian slingers are quite weak when it comes to dealing with cavalry. Now, Egyptian cavalry charging in, do they have Pila? They do not. Oh, they weren't even charging, so they end up engaging there. They're both medium cavalry. Egyptian cavalry having slightly more melee attack, but they do not have the Pila, the charge bonus triggered off, and these guys are wrecking them, sending them to hell and back. A charge is happening in. Oh, that is painful. Lots of cavalry there just dying. Pila, but wasting one of the Pila shots over there. Egypt and Carthage are moving forward and are preparing to engage. The Iceni player here is splitting his cavalry into units of 2, supporting them individually. The main problem that I'm noticing is that Egypt is way too far ahead, and that's going to open opportunities for Iceni to just charge into its flanks, and Carthage itself is staying behind and not doing much. Numidian bowmen themselves also staying really behind, exposing themselves to the cavalry, which is going to break through very easily in this scenario, doing a lot of damage. Ptolemaic cavalry charging into the Canterburyans, but they're not really going to do much. They're completely surrounded. They have Balearic slingers shooting at them, and the Iberian spearmen breaking them. They did manage to break one of the painted. Oh, they charged into the painted warriors over there, so they did get some of the painted warriors, and now they're charging into the slingers. Thorax swordsmen charging in should win against the Scutari, but now the Celtiberian cav is coming in. Archers moving forward. Slingers over here shooting in at the Carthaginian player. Carthaginian player seems unstoppable at this point. There is engagement here, battle line engagement, which we're going to go in scenic mode and going to see what's happening. It's always nice. Perhaps this might be even, and of course it does this weird thing where I still haven't figured out. No one has a clue. Yeah, Thorax swordsmen should theoretically win against the Scutari. Unfortunately, Scutari seem to be getting into the flanks of these Thorax swordsmen. The Thorax swordsmen lines themselves are already, as you can see, faltering quite a bit. They are winded because they were forced to run quite a bit. Yep, they're losing decisively, and that's going to be a pain. The archers over here could be doing a difference and could do the damage necessary to win. The Egyptian cavalry holding its own over there, but not doing that well, and the Ptolemaic cav seems to have been cleared out of the map, so that is a big victory for the Galatian Swordsman over there. A big victory for the Arverace player, who is doing really well. Carthage manages to smash into the line over there. Carthage keeping a lot of reserve troops, which it should not really do, which needs to send in everything it has as fast as possible. Scutaria charging in the flanks, and the Libyan infantry should do rather well on that side. These Briton slingers getting slaughtered by the Cretan archers, but the Cretan archers themselves are not going to be having that much of a good position. Swordsmen breaking over there, but so are the Scutarii, and the Galatian swords coming in clutch over there from the Egyptian player, trying to break through this area. Galatian swordsmen over there. Cretan archers trying to move in, killed most of the Balearic slingers over there, but now the flank is collapsing, and for all intents and purposes this is going to cause the entire collapse of the Egyptian flank, which is slightly too overstretched. It perhaps should have just done an L and moved closer to its ally. We noticed this split much earlier on, and now that is the result of such a split. The Galatian swordsmen over here surrounded, but just still fighting tooth and nail, and the Carthaginian player also sending in a unit of Italian swordsmen, which should really just charge in. So these charging in, throwing in a few pila here and there, and it's doing their thing. They're charging in, and a good Berlin should break into there. The Briton slingers being really useful right now because they are absorbing so much of that Cretan archer ammunition, whereas the Cretan archers should really and truly be shooting into the back of those heroic nobles and dealing with the heroic nobles over there. Chosen Swordband, and I believe there's a heroic noble unit over here. Chosen Swordband as well. Galatian swords from Egypt. Yeah, heroic nobles over here fighting Galatian swords. Egypt has been completely wiped clean, and this seems to be a victory towards this side, which I believe is the Pikers, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to check it just after the battle. Yep, the Torque swordsman over here just completely cleaning this up. Being cleaned up by the Scutarii, who did really well. I'm surprised at that. The cavalry charging in their rear lines, of course, didn't help that much. There are some Scutarii coming back and going to try and hold the other Scutarii, but of course they're outnumbered. Cretan archers are doing really well, and that's perhaps a mistake that Egypt did not really fight in a smart way over there. Carthage on his side, if he had a little bit more time, would have cleaned this up, and it would have potentially been an equal game, but at this point now Carthage's center is collapsing. Its troops are engaged on the flanks, trying to hold the flanks, but it's not going to do much at all, and it was much closer than I would have expected it to be, especially since the mistake that Carthage and Egypt did in their disjointment of their forces. Spearband over here breaking, veteran riders breaking, and Pila throw into the sides over there, possibly doing quite a bit of friendly fire. Those Italian swordsmen doing rather well over there. The heroic nobles finally being shot at by Iberians, the general, but it is a bit too late because these Italian swordsmen are broken and the Scutarii are dying. Libyan infantry is breaking as well, and the center is all but collapsed. Cretan archers trying to hold on, desperate last stand, but it is not the case. Italian swords breaking there as well. The Libyan infantry over there breaking and dying. The chosen swordsmen charging into the flanks of the Siberian swordsmen, which were doing some damage to this heroic noble unit, if at all, and army losses should be hitting any second now. The Scutarii cavalry, generous bodyguard, and Carthaginian cavalry won the flank on this side, which is quite interesting. Lots of troops left though for the Arverace and Icenia player. Ridiculous amount of troops, and now they are just in the need to bring these guys back and set up another structure over here. The amount of routing units is quite obscene. Lots of different pockets of fighting. It seems the biggest issue was Egypt failing to win the flank over there and then overstretching his units when he noticed that he was already losing. Perhaps he should have, as we said just now, fixed that line. Carthage is breaking and all his units are retreating. Army losses. General watching in horror as his entire army is taken apart, ripped to shredderinies. Yeah, there is not much left that could be done. This is just a rout, and they're just massacring everything that they can. Heroic nobles doing really well over there, and Scutarii 278 kills. These Scutarii doing ridiculous good in those troops. Even the Balearic slingers, all these units doing really well in general. Cavalry charging in, one desperate last charge against quite a lot of Canterbury cavalry and Celtiberian cavalry. They're okay. They won't do that well, but that's alright. And now there's just a horde of infantry coming in against this general. He's actually doing okay, considering the situation. He's in lots of infantry charging in. Just collecting. Like, when you look at it, Avarachi had so much left, barely lost anything. Most of his troops were completely intact, and they killed so many over there. It's a victory for I Am the Milkman and Iron Fist versus Findolin and Flamedalin. That was quite an interesting fighting competition. Iron Fist, of course, getting the lion's share of the kills. Iron Fist sent me this in. Skutari doing really well, but I Am the Milkman, if this works, doing really well, especially with his chosen sword band and his, of course, heroic nobles. With regards to the Egypt and Findolin Flamedan, Egypt, of course, not doing very well. The Egyptian cavalry were quite a bad choice, especially against these. Perhaps even a chariot would have done much better. And Ptolemy Cav is good and could have done more if there was a little bit more of that. And Findolin going with Carthage, doing well, but eventually he was overwhelmed due to the collapse of his flank. Now I believe this is the victory for the Pikers. Let's see. Yeah, the Pike Stackers or the Pikers have won this fight. And yeah, very well played. As of tomorrow, the second bracket of the tournament will start, and we'll have more games coming up. Don't forget to check out Joe on it. There's also Bossman, Bobby, Candy. There are quite a lot of people covering the fights. There won't be as many replays, but this is just a small tournament that is come up, and we're trying to keep the community going. Anyway, guys, I hope you're doing well. Subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy the content, or you want to see more of this stuff, or maybe even join the next tournament. Just subscribe, and I'll do announcements eventually when we do have something coming up. Apart from that, I hope you have a lovely day. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.